Good afternoon. This is Matt at ACI Agency, and this is the second in our series of webinars that we are doing during the month of February as they relate to crop insurance. We talked before in our last webinar about how there are no sacred cows, and we need to evaluate every input decision. Seed, fertilizer, land, crop insurance, right? That's one of them, just like anything else. I think one of the challenges, if you're looking at backing off a seed or doing something different with your fertility program, you're going to talk to a consultant. That consultant is going to tell you this is what you can expect if you do these things. Okay, so maybe it's a change in yield, maybe it's going to be a change in practices and require more labor or different equipment. You're going to rely on a consultant to help you make those decisions. Crop insurance is no different. And I really believe that there's kind of been a gap here as far as getting hard numbers. It seems like with crop insurance, we do a lot of stuff based on feel or based on what other people are doing. So last week we started with just kind of a historical analysis. And this historical analysis looked to do a couple things. One, it looks at comparing optional units to enterprise units in terms of how these different products have performed historically. Two, as we look at coverage levels, it gives us a feel for what coverage levels do the best job for us. Okay, so now at the end of this, depending on what your farm looks like, you may or may not be sold on an enterprise unit. And I'm okay with enterprise units. I don't have any problem with them, but I think it's really important you understand what you're buying. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about this enterprise unit deductible. So what do I mean when I talk about enterprise unit deductible? What an enterprise unit does is it takes all of a crop by practice, so like all of your irrigated corn in a county, and it treats it as one unit. Okay, so on this farm right here, you'll see down here, I'm going to highlight, we've got 3,100 acres, and out of that 3,100 acres, we've got an APH of 186, and so we are guaranteeing 434,000 bushels of corn. All right, valued at $1.63 million. Now, this is based on our APH, and this is based on a 75% coverage level. Okay, we can play with coverage levels as well. Doesn't make it all works the same. We're just talking about different deductible levels. Okay, so now we all know that our APH is not the yield capacity of that field. Our APHs are beat up by losses, right? We've got hail, we've got drought. A couple of years ago, we had a late wind. And so what we're using for target yields is not our APH. Okay, what we're using for target yields is the best yield out of this APH database. Okay, so these are historical yields that these fields have produced in the past. We average those together to 228. Okay, 228 bushels per acre. That's 711,000 bushels, $2.6 million. So what we're doing here is we're going to take our total target, and we're going to subtract out what's guaranteed, and we're left with a number. That number consists of two things. One is our true insurance deductible. Two, this 1% here, that's premium savings. That $36,000 that you've saved purchasing an enterprise unit versus an optional unit is real. And so to make this a fair comparison, we're going to add back in this premium savings. All right. Now you'll also notice that in the grand scheme of things, this $36,000 is not very much. Okay, so in terms of percentage, we're talking about a 39% loss before we start getting ahead. In terms of bushels, the middle graph, we're talking about 267,000 plus another 9,500. So a little over $275,000 or bushels of loss before we trigger a federal crop claim on our enterprise unit. And then in terms of dollars, which is really at the end of the day, this is what we care about, right? We care about dollars. It's $1 million. The deductible is $1 million. Okay, so on our 2.7 million roughly of, I'm rounding there, but on our $2.7 million, the first $1 million is owned. That risk is owned by us. Okay. And then in terms of acres, how many acres would have to get hailed out before we, I'm talking hailed to zero, before we trigger an enterprise unit loss? The answer, 1,213. Okay, so of this 3,100 acres, we're talking 1,200 acres getting hailed out. So if you had, let's say you're spread out on 3 farms in the county, they're 1,000 acres apiece, your deductible essentially would be one of those farms. Okay, so that gives us a breakdown of how enterprise units perform as far as their deductible. And hopefully this gives you some tools to better evaluate that deductible. Because like I said, I don't have a problem with the enterprise unit. I don't have a problem with saving $36,000, but we need to make sure that these deductibles, they fit inside your risk management plan. Because if we get to the end of the year and God forbid we had a 40% loss, and our ratios go from being okay here, we knock off 40% of yield, we're in the red. And this means we're going to have a really tough conversation with our banker this fall. So as you're looking at this, let's keep the end in mind. I know we're premium sensitive right now, but let's make sure we're chasing a risk management program that is going to be sustainable, not only in terms of premium, but in terms of coverage, and make sure it does what insurance is supposed to do, which is keep us solvent. So thanks for your time, and we will see you next week for the 3rd installment of our crop insurance series.